Imagine a world where we could edit out the genes that cause diseases like sickle cell anemia.
Wow.
It sounds like science fiction,
It
right?
really does.
But it's the potential of gene editing. And today we're taking a deep dive into a company at the forefront of this revolution.
Okay.
Crispr Therapeutics.
I've heard of them.
Before we jump in, though, hit that subscribe button if you want to explore more fascinating companies and ideas with us.
What fascinates me about Crispr Therapeutics is that they're going beyond just treating symptoms.
Right.
They're aiming for cures by targeting the root cause, the very DNA of these diseases.
So to understand how they plan to do this, let's unpack their business.
Okay.
Crispr Therapeutics is a American biotech company, and their claim to fame is this gene editing platform called CRISPR-Cas9.
CRISPR-Cas9 is like a molecular pair of scissors.
Oh, wow.
Allowing them to make incredibly precise changes to DNA sequences.
That's amazing. And they're applying this technology across a diverse portfolio, which is really interesting. They're targeting hemoglobinopathies like sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia by editing blood stem cells.
Their work in oncology is pretty noteworthy.
Yeah.
They're developing next-generation cell therapies for cancer, and some of these therapies, like CTX112 and CTX131, are already in clinical trials.
So they're really pushing the boundaries in cancer treatment.
Absolutely. Their ambitions extend even further.
Like where?
Well, they're venturing into regenerative medicine.
Wow.
Investigating how gene editing can be used to expand the applications of stem cells. Imagine the potential to repair damaged tissues and organs. It's a field with so many possibilities.
It's mind-blowing stuff.
And that's not all. They're also pioneering what's called an in vivo approach.
In vivo?
Yeah, in simple terms, this means they're developing ways to edit cells directly inside the body.
So instead of taking cells out, modifying them in a lab and putting them back in,
Exactly.
they can just do it in the body.
That's the goal.
That's incredible.
This in vivo approach could revolutionize how we treat diseases like autoimmune disorders and even heart disease.
Wow, it's such a broad and ambitious scope. Their leadership team must be top-notch.
Oh, they are.
Okay, good.
CRISPR Therapeutics boasts an experienced management team with an average tenure of 5.3 years.
Wow.
This suggests stability and a deep understanding of the company's vision.
Yeah.
At the helm is Samarth Kulkarni, the CEO and chairman.
Okay.
He brings extensive experience from his time at Sanofi Genzyme and McKinsey & Company.
And they've also made some key leadership changes recently.
That's right.
Dr. Naimish Patel joined as their chief medical officer,
Bringing a wealth of experience in immunology and inflammation therapies.
which is particularly relevant to their work in autoimmune diseases.
Exactly. And Julianne Bruno, who was instrumental in securing the partnership with Vertex Pharmaceuticals,
Huge.
has been promoted to Chief Operating Officer.
Speaking of Vertex Pharmaceuticals, that partnership is a big deal.
It is.
Vertex has expertise in drug development and commercialization.
Yeah.
And their collaboration with CRISPR Therapeutics, particularly on the therapy called Casgevy,
Right.
is a major step forward in bringing gene editing therapies to market.
It's worth noting that they have a very experienced board of directors and some truly accomplished scientific founders.
These are individuals who are not just business-minded, but deeply invested in pushing the scientific boundaries of gene editing.
It speaks volumes about the company's commitment to scientific rigor and innovation.
Now, let's turn our attention to the financial side of things.
Okay.
CRISPR Therapeutics is still a development stage company.
Right.
This means they're not generating significant revenue from product sales just yet.
But what's encouraging is their financial prudence.
Okay.
They've managed to reduce their R&D expenses and narrow their net loss compared to the previous year.
And they've bolstered their financial position through strategic moves like raising $280 million through a public offering.
And receiving a $200 million milestone payment from Vertex, thanks to the progress they've made with Casgevy.
So this has resulted in a strong cash position of $1.94 billion as of September 30, 2024.
Giving them a significant runway to continue their research and development efforts.
They're not burning through cash recklessly, but investing it strategically.
Exactly.
This financial stability is reflected in key metrics.
Like what?
Their market cap is currently $3.46 billion,
Okay.
with an enterprise value of $1.75 billion. Their current ratio is 21.64, indicating strong liquidity, and their debt-to-equity ratio is a healthy 0.12.
So they're in a good financial position to weather the challenges of developing groundbreaking therapies.
But before we delve deeper, we'll pause here for a moment.
Okay.
In the second part of our deep dive, we'll analyze market sentiment towards CRISPR Therapeutics, examine their ownership structure, and assess the risks and opportunities that lie ahead.
Sounds good.
Don't forget to check the episode description for links to all the sources we used for this analysis.
And while you're there, let us know in the comments what other stocks you'd like us to investigate.
We're always eager to explore new and exciting companies.
Absolutely. So with all this potential, you might be wondering what the market's saying about CRISPR Therapeutics.
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it?
It is.
The market sentiment is a bit mixed, which isn't unusual for a company at this stage.
Right.
Valuing a development stage biotech company like CRISPR Therapeutics is tricky.
I can imagine.
There are a lot of unknowns.
It's true. You have some analysts who are very optimistic, projecting a fair value as high as $193.27 per share.
Wow.
But then you have others who are much more cautious, with estimates as low as $4.16.
Whoa. That's a pretty big difference of opinion.
Yeah, a significant difference.
So what explains this vast range of valuations?
Well, a big part of it comes down to the fact that CRISPR Therapeutics doesn't have established product sales yet.
Okay.
So projecting their future revenue and profitability is challenging.
Makes sense.
Which leads to uncertainty.
And this uncertainty creates both risk and opportunity.
Exactly. For investors, it's a high-stakes bet on the future of gene editing.
So let's look at who's placing those bets.
Right.
CRISPR Therapeutics has a diverse ownership structure with significant involvement from institutional investors.
We're talking about big players.
Yeah.
Like Capital Research and Management Company.
Oh, wow.
ARK Investment Management, LLC.
Okay.
And Nikko Asset Management Co., Ltd.
These are institutions with deep pockets and sophisticated research teams.
Their investment in CRISPR Therapeutics is a strong vote of confidence in the company's long-term prospects.
But as with any investment, there are risks to consider.
Of course.
So let's assess those risks.
Okay.
When we look at CRISPR Therapeutics through a SWOT analysis lens, both opportunities and risks emerge.
Starting with the opportunities, their gene editing technology could revolutionize treatment for a wide range of diseases. They have a strong and experienced leadership team, a diverse pipeline of therapies, and a crucial strategic partnership with Vertex Pharmaceuticals.
That partnership with Vertex is particularly valuable.
It is. Vertex handles the commercialization, marketing, and distribution of their approved therapy, Casgevy.
Which is huge.
It is. This allows CRISPR Therapeutics to focus their resources on what they do best, developing groundbreaking therapies.
And Casgevy itself is a major milestone.
Absolutely, being the first CRISPR-based therapy approved in multiple countries.
Wow.
It holds immense revenue potential for the company.
And healthcare providers like the NHS in the UK have agreed to reimbursement deals for Casgevy.
This is a critical step in ensuring patient access to this potentially life-saving treatment.
Now turning to the risks.
Right. The gene editing field is incredibly competitive.
I can imagine.
Companies like Editas Medicine and Intellia Therapeutics are vying for market share.
Oh, wow.
It's a race to bring these revolutionary therapies to patients, and there's no guarantee of who will come out on top.
And the regulatory landscape for gene editing is still evolving.
Which adds a layer of uncertainty.
What if regulators raise concerns about safety or efficacy?
That's a valid concern.
Then there's the risk of technological disruption.
Right. What if a new, even more effective gene editing technology emerges, making CRISPR-Cas9 obsolete?
That's always a possibility in a field as cutting edge as this.
Exactly. And of course, clinical trials also carry inherent risks.
Setbacks or outright failures are possible.
A therapy that shows promise in the lab might not deliver the desired results when tested in humans.
And even if a therapy successfully navigates clinical trials and gains approval, there's the hurdle of commercialization.
Yeah, manufacturing these therapies is complex and expensive.
And getting insurance companies to cover these potentially costly treatments is another challenge.
So while the potential is enormous, CRISPR Therapeutics faces significant hurdles in bringing their vision to fruition.
It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario.
The stakes are incredibly high, not just for the company, but for the future of medicine.
If you're enjoying this deep dive into CRISPR Therapeutics, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more insights into groundbreaking companies and ideas. And before we wrap up, a quick disclaimer. This deep dive is for informational purposes only and is not financial advice.
Of course.
Always do your own research before making any investment decisions.
I couldn't agree more. Investing in biotech, particularly a company like CRISPR Therapeutics, requires careful consideration and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Absolutely. But this whole conversation has got me thinking.
About?
CRISPR Therapeutics is on this mission to cure diseases at their genetic root.
Yeah.
Which is incredible when you really think about it.
It really is.
But this power to rewrite the very blueprint of life brings with it some pretty hefty ethical questions.
Oh, absolutely. That's a discussion that deserves its own deep dive.
Right.
The ethical implications of gene editing are vast and complex.
We'll definitely have to explore that in a future episode.
Looking forward to.
But for now, that wraps up our deep dive into CRISPR Therapeutics, a company with immense potential, facing significant challenges and operating in a field that's both scientifically thrilling and ethically complex.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.